She screamed at the top of her lungs, "That's my son's truck. Hand it over right now or I'll call the cops." I was standing in my own driveway, keys in hand, staring at this blonde woman who acted like the world belonged to her. Her son, grown man, not a kid, was smirking behind her, nodding like this madness made sense. I laughed under my breath and said, "Lady, this truck has been mine for 10 years. Your son can't even afford the gas." But she stepped closer, waving a piece of paper like it was holy law. "HOA rules," she shouted, shoving it toward me. "Say abandoned vehicles can be claimed. And this one looks abandoned to me." I looked at my truck, shiny red paint, polished tires, toolbox in the back. Abandoned? Not even close. My neighbors started gathering, some pulling out phones, recording. She didn't care. She jabbed her finger at me and yelled, "You're done here. Either give us the keys or I'll make sure the police drag you out in handcuffs." Her son crossed his arms, already moving closer like he was about to climb in the driver's seat. I should have lost my temper. I should have yelled back. But instead, I just smiled. Because I knew something she didn't. Let her call the cops. Let her scream all she wanted. This time, she picked the wrong driveway. Blue and red lights lit up the street faster than I expected. She wasn't bluffing, Karen actually called the cops. She stood tall, chest out, waving her fake HOA paper like it was the Declaration of Independence. The officers stepped out, looking annoyed already. But she rushed them before they could even shut their doors. "Arrest him!" she shrieked, pointing straight at me. "He stole my son's truck, and he threatened me when I demanded it back. Look, here's the HOA violation notice. This man is a danger to the neighborhood." Her son nodded like a parrot, adding, "That's my truck. I just want it back." The cops turned to me, hand resting on his belt, ready to escalate. Neighbors whispered, some recording, some shaking their heads. For a second, it looked like I was going to jail for standing in front of my own vehicle. I stayed calm, leaned against the hood, and pulled out my wallet slowly. The officers stiffened, but when they saw what I held, their eyes changed. My badge gleamed in the flashing lights. I didn't flash it like a movie hero, I let them read it for themselves. "State Attorney's Office," one officer murmured, glancing at his partner. The whole street went quiet. Karen froze, blinking, but then her voice went even higher. "He's lying. That's fake. Arrest him anyway." Her words hung in the air, but I saw the hesitation on the officers' faces. They knew exactly who I was. And she just made the biggest mistake of her life. The hesitation didn't last long. Karen wasn't letting this go, she stormed past me, snatched the keys right out of my truck's ignition, and tossed them to her son. "Drive it, honey, before he fakes more lies," she screeched, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. The crowd gasped. Her son climbed into the driver's seat like he'd won a prize, grinning at me while revving the engine. The sound rattled my chest. My truck. My land. My home. And yet, the cops. They didn't move. One of them muttered, "Ma'am, you can't just," but she cut him off with that paper again, shoving it into his chest. "Yes, I can. It's HOA law. And if you won't do your job, I'll have your badge too." The injustice stung hard. My neighbors recorded every second, whispering louder now, but no one stepped in. For the first time, I felt a flare of heat in my chest, not just anger, but the kind that comes when everything you've built, everything you own, is being ripped away in front of your face. I took one step closer, locking eyes with her son behind the wheel. "You sure you want to drive that truck?" I said slowly, my voice steady. "Because once you do, there's no coming back." Karen laughed like I was a fool. "Oh, there's no coming back for you. Say goodbye to your truck. And maybe even your freedom." And then, he hit the gas. The tires screeched, smoke curling into the night air. The roar of the engine lasted barely 3 seconds before it choked, sputtered, and died right there in the driveway. Her son kept turning the key, pumping the pedal. But the truck refused to move an inch. Karen's smirk faded. Confusion spread across her face. I folded my arms. Funny thing about this truck. I said loud enough for the neighbors and the cameras to catch every word. It's wired with a security system I installed myself. GPS lock, ignition cut. Nobody drives it but me. Her son's face went red as he yanked the door handle, but it wouldn't open either. Locked from the inside. He was trapped, slamming his fists against the window like a caged animal. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Karen spun toward me, her voice shaking between rage and panic. You sabotaged it. That's illegal. He's suffocating in there. I tilted my head. Relax. Windows roll down. But since you like calling cops. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and tapped the app. The screen lit up. With a live feed of the trucks. Interior and location, state certified. Security software. Tied directly to my office. The officer's eyes widened. One of them muttered, "That's state property tracking. That's not a toy." Karen's hand trembled as she tried to grab the phone, but I pulled it back. Here's the real law, sweetheart. Impersonating HOA authority, filing false police claims. And attempted vehicle theft. All caught on record. You sure you want to keep going? Her face drained of color. For the first time that night, she didn't have a comeback. The crowd was eating it up. Phones were still rolling. And I knew the real storm was only just beginning. Karen wasn't finished. Desperation made her reckless. She shoved one of the officers in the chest, screaming, "Do your job. Arrest him. He's lying. He hacked my son's car, he's dangerous." Her shrill voice cracked as her son kept pounding inside the locked truck. Trapped like a fool in front of the entire neighborhood. The officers had enough. "Ma'am, step back," one said firmly. She didn't listen. Instead, she swung that fake HOA paper in his face again. Yelling, "I run this neighborhood. You listen to me, not him." That was it. The officer snapped the paper out of her hand. Looked at it once, then tore it clean in half. "This is fake," he said flatly. "And you just assaulted an officer." The crowd erupted, gasps, whispers, phones catching every second. Karen's eyes went wide as both cops grabbed her arms and slapped cuffs on her wrists. "No. This is a mistake. I'm the victim. He's stealing from me." She wailed, but nobody believed her anymore. Her son was pulled out of the truck, humiliated, face red as the flashing lights. The officer shook his head at him. "You're lucky you're not driving off in stolen property right now. Go home before you end up with charges too." I stepped forward, calm but firm, and looked Karen in the eye. "You thought you could steal from me. On my land, with fake authority. I didn't fight for this country just to be told I can't park in my own driveway." The crowd cheered. Neighbors clapped. Some even shouted, "Finally." The whole scene was caught on dozens of phones, already streaming live. As they loaded her into the back of the squad car, Karen's screams faded into the night. I walked up to my truck, tapped my phone. And the locks clicked open like nothing had ever happened. The engine purred when I turned the key. Justice wasn't just served, it was broadcast. And for the first time in a long time, this street finally felt like mine again.